Right? That's the first thing that I just want to put out there right now as we go live. What's up, everybody? We're back. It's the War Room. It's Jay. It's Jake. It's myself. Ben. He's big time in us. He'll be here in a second. But the first thing that we're gonna do, don't mention the goatee dog.
Don't do it.
He'll do it.
Don't
Jay,
do it.
what's up, brother? How are you doing this week? What's up with you?
Oh, not much, man. I'm getting us live on social right now. Make sure everybody's tracking that we're live. But other than that, man, another day, another dollar. We got 5 interesting topics to cover. Some good ass topics too, so it should be a good one.
We do, yeah. Ben was. I'll tell you what, man. When the group chat starts popping, and I wasn't joking. Like 2 or 3 days ago, I think I told you all. I was like, "Dang, I'm ready to record again. I'm ready to get on here and talk." When that group chat starts popping off, people have good ideas. I'm like, man, we should be behind some camera or in front of some cameras and behind some microphones right now because it was some good stuff. So, man, I'm excited for it. Jake, who is your football team? Do you watch NFL football?
So I coached college football for 15 years.
I did not know that. You coached college football for 15 years. Where did you coach college football?
Last stop was University of Illinois for 5 years.
No way. The Fighting
Yeah,
Illini.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of one of them deals where, like, I like the 49ers when they're hitting on all cylinders,
Mhm.
and I like the 49ers as a kid, but
Sure.
football just has a nasty taste in my mouth, kind of. Like when I watch
Why?
it, I'm kind of like, eh.
Do you know too much about it?
'Cause
Like, do you know like the
no,
inside or?
so I'll tell you the truth, man. My first job interview, I got MF for 2.5 hours by Ralph Regents. And I had spent 18 months trying to get a job with Maryland football.
Mhm.
And everything he said was completely correct. The reason he was yelling at me was just like I would have treated somebody in my position that had a $200,000 a year job, that
Mhm.
was trying to take a $7,000 a year GA job.
Right.
And I mean, everything he said was 100% true. I was too smart. I was a threat to a lot of people. They weren't going to help me out because they didn't want me to become a head coach. Just craziness, like craziness. And he told it all to me in the first interview, 2.5 hours screaming at me, and I still took the job. So
was he right in the end?
no, he was 100% correct.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, he said, you're too smart for this business, Jake. Like they're going to see you as a threat. They're not going to help you. You're going to get places in this business and they're going to try to shut you down because they know you're going to kill them when you become a head coach.
Wow.
And he said, they're going to prevent you from even getting close. And I was like, come on, man. Like, isn't it advantageous to be smart?
Mhm.
And he was like, not when you're in a business full of dumb people.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what, not when, and that's great input from him too. It's like not when you're an up and comer, not when you're a dude that is like 100%, gonna try to climb that ladder. Like they're not gonna let you take their spot. Like put yourself in that scenario. Oh, I got this up and coming, upstart that seems to be super duper intelligent and seems to be a threat to my bottom line or whatever else. Like, holy crap. What's up to the chat, everybody? We got 33 people right off the rip. It's go. We're going for a new record today. We had 200 people at one point watching the chat last week. That was a big deal. Producer and backside support, Dylan and Carlos, they were freaking out. That was one of the things that got me super excited in the group chat. So what's up, Mason? Those new Aaron Love Hate Club shirts. Yeah, go over to onesready.com. I love those things, man. I was going to wear it on here today, but I got to be honest, man. We'd been talking about that shirt for a little while. Like I'm a fun person to hate. Like I'm a grown up enough to know that is a true and accurate thing. So you might as well join the club, baby. Might as well hit that Aaron Love Hate Club shirt. What's up, Peaches? He's in the chat too. How you doing, big dog? Good seeing you. The man, the myth, the legend, JTech01, Jared Peaches. That's him. So yeah, what's up? I do have a question though. I was thinking about this. Did you guys catch Sean Ryan on the Joe Rogan podcast?
Damn, man. I'm guilty. I watched that whole thing today.
Dude, I watched the whole thing. It was a great conversation. Now again, yeah. I know that you don't let.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, I won't give you too many spoilers, but there was one thing that I wanted to pick out, and it's off topic for what we're talking about here. But at one point, he talks about the community, and I know that you guys, I believe that I saw a great video from Green Beret Chronicles that dropped with Jay talking about the SEAL team community, the platoon, culture inside of those team rooms. Was that you?
Who, me?
No. Jay.
Yeah, I think that went out today.
It was Jay. It was Jay.
Nah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all over that shit. Dude,
man.
I am changing cultures one video at a time. Internet doesn't like it, but I'm like, no, man, we got to talk about this shit.
It needs to change. I'm going to tell you right now, man. Like, I just got done. So I'm wrong, Aaron. I didn't listen to Sean Ryan and Joe Rogan. I listened to Sean Ryan and Shrek today.
Oh, Shrek McPhee. Yeah, Shrek.
Yeah, so and you know
what's
what was
baby? Woo!
Fuck you,
dude.
What the fuck is going on?
180 seconds late, looking moisturized and just jacked. How are you big and striated, you good-looking MF?
Oh shit. I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm inspired. You guys are inspiring me.
Oh man. Well,
how's everybody doing?
Good.
I'm gonna bring you in.
I'm gonna bring you in midstream because here's the question that we're getting to.
All right.
The thank you, Peaches. I'll get to it in a second. The question that we're getting to here. Sean Ryan went on Joe Rogan's podcast and he said one thing. He was like, I did all this stuff. I was fed up with a whole bunch of stuff that was going on, already. And, this, that, and the third. But he made a really interesting comment about the community. I have a very, very sharp opinion about the community. Now, for me, I'm referring to the Air Force Special Tactics community, but you guys have your communities as well. He said he got so much crap. He said his life basically just like lit on fire when he went and did the tactical stuff for John Wick. So he was a tactical advisor on John Wick 3, which I did not know. That was a pretty cool thing. But he's like, yeah, I went on that. And I'll say, he's like, the community, he's like, the phone calls and the hate and the online stuff that I got. He's like, it just infuriated me. Do you guys see that in your communities as well? Because I have a bunch of stories about how I put the community in quotes. I can just tell you from my optic as a primer, like, I have never gotten more there. Like the Aaron Love Hate Club is funny. But it's like a joke, right? It's like, oh, everybody hates Aaron. I have never gotten more hate, more vitriol, more anger than from the same people that wear my beret. Oh, look, Jay's 2 times. All right. Hey, what's going on? It seems like a good time to try to figure out technical difficulties in the middle of a live, Yeah, not before. Let's not figure this out before we go on or anything. Let's just go ahead and try it right in the middle of me talking. You don't have to go fuck myself.
You come here and you have entertainment, all kinds of stuff.
Now he's sideways, right? He's getting ready. Hey, man, listen. Where's that big black dude? Hey, no. Jay's about to bring in that big black dude. What's that dude's name from our first podcast? Remember the big black dude?
Yeah, the big.
Yeah,
Please keep going, guys.
You coming in on 2 speakers
I'm
and 2
trying to work
cameras.
through something. So you guys just
gotta
keep
mute one of your mics.
We're live right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's figure this out here. So Peaches or somebody in the chat, I just played with my gain a little bit to turn it up there, so I appreciate that.
That was good.
Thanks. Somebody in the chat tell me how it's sounding out there. But I'm just gonna go ahead and try to level the bubbles for everybody right now. Ben doesn't know that we're live. Jay is on 4 different computers during the live to try to figure out his stuff. This is what we call evolution, baby. This is what we call it. You're seeing how the sausage is made.
And I was here early. I told my wife I'm going to be early. I've been late.
You were on time for the
There's
first.
No reason. There's no reason for me to be late. I'm be on time. So hey, we're talking about these communities. Let's get back to it, Aaron. Gotcha. I'm just going to say this: like in our community is absolutely atrocious. Like. And I was listening to Sean Ryan and Shrek McPhee, and he was talking about working with Blue Squadron, and he was calling those guys a bunch of clowns, right? Like he was out there and wherever he was, and they're a bunch of clowns, and they wouldn't let him lift in their weight room. And he was like, I built this weight room. And it's like one of those things where, the average age on the A team is like 32 or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. The average age in the SEAL teams is like 24, right? Mm-hmm. And it's 24, and like Shrek was talking about, they don't have any real world military experience other than what they know. Mm-hmm. And so, our community is one of the dumbest, like I was thinking about this the other day. We are quiet professionals until you get out. Like they need to just change it. You're a quiet professional until you get out and you have to feed your family. And then you can use the skills that you learned in the SEAL teams to feed your family. Because some of these dudes, right? Because I'm going to flip it around. All the quiet professionals that are still out there in the world, like half of them are aspirating on their own vomit within 5 years and dying. Mm-hmm. Like they're living this like closed in, like I'm still in the community lifestyle, and it's not healthy. The community isn't healthy. Great point. It's just toxic. Like you got to get rid of it. Like I'm not in the SEAL teams no more. I do what I want to feed my family.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see a lot of it with the Marine Raider community, Marine, Force Recon. There's a lot of crossover, a lot of matriculation from Recon to MARSOC and all that. And I think, guys will snicker to each other over things and say things. And like if you go in deep, they'll be like, yeah, that motherfucker. People say things, right? But but by and large, I mean, I think they want you to do well. It's a pretty tight knit brotherhood, and I think guys, they support each other. And you see, like, I know one guy that got out had medically had a retired gunfighter, gunslinger. He's killing it on YouTube. Got big following, and a couple of them are doing that really well, and they're telling their stories, and they've got amazing stories to tell. And so some of them started clothing lines. I mean, we got Rudy Reyes out there who's crushing it with the special forces, who dares and all that stuff. And, he's on fire. So, I mean, he's pretty dynamic individual. There are a lot of dynamic dudes out there. So yeah, I don't see too much of the hate really, because I think there's not a ton of really just straight out showboating either. There's usually, they give a lot of credit to the community. They try to lift other people along with them. So, I mean, like with the SEALs, from my outside perspective, there was like a big storm of just attention. And so it's hard to deal with, especially young guys getting out with their different traumas and things like that. You throw a lot of money and fame in their faces, and America falls in love with a community, so I mean, I try not to judge, because I mean, like Jake's saying, you're not in anymore. You got to feed your family. You've been through a lot. And if you get some things waved in your face, just remember where you came from. I think it's important to have some humility as well too. So you don't come off, not representing yourself as how you really were in those units too, where a lot of quiet professionals, right? And a lot of tough people with doing good things and serving, really true service, sacrificing themselves for the team.
How do you guys see me? Am I good?
You look great. You sound like absolute garbage.
Great.
Yeah.
You sound like you're in a box.
You sound like you're recording through a potato, and that potato is currently wet. That's what it sounds like.
Aaron, I was going to say, you're talking to us with a cup. You're talking to us as a third grade science class with a cup and a string.
That's how it sounds. Yeah.
That's how it sounds like, Jay.
Technically, it does work. Bro. We can hear you. That's tight. I don't know how the lag is, but I can tell you the sound is just absolutely disgusting. Sound ink of the world. Sounds like a chicken. Got him.
We can't hear you at all, Jay. I know you just took out your headphones.
We love it.
Hear you at all.
I love it.
All right, so now you guys can't hear me at all.
No, now you're good.
Oh man, this is so good. I love troubleshooting live. I love it.
All right, so
I spent 15 minutes. So
you guys can hear me now.
Better.
Yes.
All right.
I'm gonna hear you better.
On the live with us right now.
So we got 54 people watching on the live. I told them I wanted to get up past. I know. I wanted to shoot past that 200 total people. We had 200 people on the streams that were watching. That doesn't seem like a big deal to you guys, but to us four idiots, it's a pretty big deal. So the guys that are helping us out, Carlos and Dylan, shout out. You guys are freaking awesome, and you guys crush it. I hope you guys have been noticing the reel quality went through the roof. My boy Dylan apparently went online and did some sort of like credentialing program where he figured shit out. Like, I yelled at him over text message one time. The dude crushed it. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then it was perfect. I was like, "What the?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I just had to figure it out." I was like, "Good job, Dylan. You crushed it. Just crushed it."
For sure.
Heck yeah! All right, so are we jumping into this?
Aaron?
Well, so you didn't miss anything, Jay. We were kind of talking about the communities, right? Sean Ryan, when he was on Joe Rogan, he talked about how bad the community, the backlash that he faced for doing absolutely nothing wrong, right? Like, it's just people don't like you and they say things about you. And I share some of those opinions as he does as well. There have been times where I look, the first people that'll, the biggest pushback that we got when we started One's Ready way back in the day. So 2019, I think, just before November, November, December 2019 was our first episode. The amount of phone calls that we got, it was like split exactly down the middle. Everybody was like, "Oh man, this is awesome. You guys are going to put out this information and help me get selected. That's really, really cool. That's a good idea. Thanks for taking this on and doing it in your off time." And then every single person we worked with, I got calls from recruiters. I got calls from people in the space that were like, "Oh, you guys think you're recruiters? You think you can do marketing better than us? Is that what this is?" And we were like, no, man, we're just trying to help out. And then inevitably you get the call, be like, oh, Aaron, I was on team with you when you were a 27-year-old alcoholic. And, there are some stories floating around about you out there. And I'm like, yeah, I know, man. I've told all of them. Like, they're all out there. I'm an open book as far as, as far as that stuff goes. But, nobody hates harder, it seems, than the communities from which you come. And it's just a weird thing. It's a weird thing that we've always, internally we've had talks about it. Yeah. And it's a weird thing to try to wrap your head around, because I just don't feel anytime I'd like to say this publicly. I believe that it's true, and anybody can call me out on it. I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody that has the receipts to prove me wrong on this one. But I think the very first thing that I tell everybody because people have hit me up and be like, I'm thinking about starting this podcast. I'm thinking about doing this thing. Hey, will you come on this podcast? My first answer is not only yes, but I will pour in every bit of experience I have to hopefully make you bigger than me. Like, there are some podcasts out there that I have helped guide in their early stuff. I hope that they are better than me. I hope they're the biggest thing on the planet. I hope they're so good at what they do that I don't have a project anymore because of it. That's really how I feel. So it's a little bit of projection. So when you look at the community that I always put in quotes, and you see guys tearing each other down or having these conversations on the, in the backside and all this other stuff, I will tell you this. It's quite interesting. I finally was able to leave a group chat. There's 1,000 PJs on a Signal group chat, and we always talk. And it's funny because every single one of those dudes knows that I have a podcast. We don't get 1,000 shares every week. We don't get 500 shares we don't get 100 shares every week. Those guys have been on the podcast. There are people that are in that in that chat that I would go in and I'd be like, hey, I would love to talk to you guys. You guys should come on the podcast. We don't get 100 likes. We don't get 100 shares. There's not 100 PJs that comment on these videos. So they like to be a PJ and they like to support the community, unless it comes to doing something free and actually supporting something. And then that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. So for me, I can speak to it from two separate perspectives, right? So there's that success and others trying to tear you down perspective to it, which me personally, and again, I don't know if it's from my end as an SF dude, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I'll have onesies and twosies. Mm-hmm. Mainly, I can say there's been 3 dudes, and I know who they are, that when I first started, they stayed in the comments, just airing out dirty laundry. Oh, Jay had an ND. Jay, I'm like, well, yeah, I've talked about it. I've learned from it, and I want others. So there's about 3 dudes, but for the most part, I like to say that, we always preach community as far as the SF, but at the end of the day, at least from my perspective, my community was pretty small, right? My community is the team of dudes that I served with, for 8 to 7 years on one team. That's 12 dudes. Those dudes, regardless of what I got going on, they're there, right? All I gotta do is pick up the phone, and any one of those 12 or 10 dudes, they're there. And I'm sure it's the same with you guys. There's your close-knit dudes that are ride or die at any given time. You pick up the phone and they're going to show up. So when I think of community, that's what I think about. Everyone else that wears that same beret, that wears that same tag that I don't know, yeah, I'll see him in passing and I'll say what's up to him. But at the end of the day, human nature is still there, right? There's still that envy and that still exists. So even though we preach community, I'm not surprised when I see that type of stuff. So that's one aspect of it. And then as of late, and I know I'm guilty of it because I have a mission that I'm trying to achieve, and that's to change the culture, right? So when I see fucked up shit happening on social media through the vet bros, I'll be the first to comment on it. And I know a lot of people see that as a way of toxicity or ripping up. And I'll tell them, I'm look, from a mentoring perspective, if we think that these young kids are not watching, we're lying to ourselves, right? Because they're going to see everything that these vet bros are doing on social media, and they're going to take that for gospel, and they're going to join the service, and they're going to do it. Mm-hmm. At least, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but at least for me, when I see it, and I'm getting questions about it through my mentorship calls, I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not how this happens. Mm-hmm. This is how it's supposed to happen. folks might be out here portraying a certain things, whether they're telling you, hey, when I went through SEER school, you know, I snuck into the barracks and I stole a box of MREs and I hit them, you know, on the freaking E&E lane because my buddy was a cadre. And whenever we were supposed to get some good training out of it, we went and we dug up the MREs and we ate it. And oh yeah, the one Air Force dude, Aaron Love, that was part of the team. He ratted on us and he ended up.
Why make me the snitch? First of all, that is so far away. Why?
You know what I mean? But when I hear that type of stuff, I'm like, wait, man, like I get it, man, but don't put that out there to make others think that that's okay to do that, right? Like, so there's two different perspectives to it, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, again, I think it's something that we have to navigate through as, you know, vet bros on here. But at the end of the day, I think there's a good way and there's a bad way to do it. I haven't seen that Sean Ryan interview, but he's absolutely fucking crushing it. And he's one of those dudes that I follow religiously that I don't have any fucking issues with. You know what I mean? So I need to catch that for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how you know, what a huge, I guess, what a huge compliment that is too. Like, you may not like the way that he puts the show together. You may not like the way that he interviews. But I'll tell you what, you're in the minority. He has some valuable conversations. He's been able to get good people across from him. He asks hard questions. He asks good follow-up questions. Like, just the technical, I don't know where it is that he picked up to do that, but I'll tell you what, it's one of those things you look at and you emulate and you're like, man, you know, just to be able to have a conversation like that or to draw those conversations out, that's a skill in and of itself. So I got nothing but credit for the dude. He doesn't need credit from some random schmuck he doesn't know, but you know, Sean Ryan, big listener to the War Room podcast. He's one of the 66 that is listening to us live right now.
We up, man. We doing
we
good,
up, baby.
Man.
We up, baby.
I want to throw out.
We are so back.
I want to throw out a challenge to everybody listening to this. There's 3 stories. All 3 of them when I was in the SEAL teams. If you can find them and bring them up, I'll tell you the story. But you got to go dig them up, because I guarantee they're going to crush anything that anybody's any dirt they try to throw at me now. If you find these 3 stories, I'll tell you about them. Ain't nobody going to be able to run with them.
Fantastic. We're going to hit the chat real quick. So A7020, why was an Air Force dude at SF SEER? Was he prior service? Fun fact, all SEER is the same. There's no SF SEER or whatever SEER. There's 3 levels of SEER, level A's, B's, and C's, and they're standardized throughout the DoD. So you can go to whichever SEER course you want, as long as you get level C is the highest, and that's the one that we all have to take as special operators. Now that I've said that, that was a joke. I was not there. He was joking about me snitching on the dude as a way to illustrate his story. So I did not actually go to SEER in the Army. I went to SEER in the Air Force, but I wasn't cross-training. So there you go. Wanted to hit that bad boy up.
I'm going to tell a quick SEER story because it's the best thing I got, man. So first of all, obviously in the Navy, we go to SEER with all the pilots, okay? So it was like they only sent 4 of us at a time because we took over the SEER camp one time. Like, we didn't play nicely, okay? So
nice.
I went up there with me, Rhino, and 2 enlisted dudes. And so one of them was Dale Wood.
Rhino?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. So
that's awesome.
But we went up there with like 12 aviators, and they flew the G5 up. So we literally got we flew G5 up, and then we got the G5 and flew it home. But that ain't the story. So they took all the clothes off the women, right? And I was like, this is the best military training in the history of mankind. Okay? For 6 hours, I marched up and down yelling, die, commie pigs, die. And literally, it took me 1 minute to walk back, and it took me like 15 minutes to walk forward, looking at this row of it was like 10 girls in bras and panties.
Hilarious. With
big bushes hanging out in the middle of the snow with shoes on and watching everybody cry around us. But I thought that was the best part of SEER. By far, the best part of SEER. Best 6 hours of my life.
Dude, I do have a fun SEER story. So I will say, oh man, can you talk? I don't even know if I could tell it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. I'm
trying to think my way through the event. I mean, we know that people get hit at SEER, right? Like that's
you get
we can say okay. So here's my favorite story of all time. So I actually went through as a phys tech. So I was just a random AF nerd, like straight up dork status. And yes, we go to Fairchild Air Force Base. So I was going SEER level C training, like the high level, blah, 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 up at SEER at Fairchild, right? So I'm there. And they put me in this one group that had like like-minded. There was a couple other people from my career field that I didn't know. Two of them were lieutenants, and they were super young and they were chicks. So I'm sitting there, and the smaller, shorter chick, there was a tall chick and a short chick. The tall chick had glasses on. She looked like Tweety Bird. The short chick, she had problems with her BMI. LT from 25 years ago. If you're hearing this right now, I hope you figured out your friggin' hyperglycemia, because it was not good. You did not look good. So the funniest thing that I ever saw is the short one was real mouthy. Like, she was just leaning into the fact, she's like, it's training. They can't really hurt us. They're contractors. Like, this isn't real. They're not really going to kill us. Like, all this other stuff. She was leaning into it and saying wild crap. She literally was like, it was cold out, so we were standing outside and not a whole lot of clothing, and there may or may not have been water involved. Like, we may have had accidentally gotten wet beforehand, had to go outside, so we're standing outside. And she's like, we have freedom to keep us warm. And all of us were like, not only is that fucking dumb, but why are you antagonizing this person who we're already getting punished? Like, I don't want to get punished anymore. Even as before I was an operator, I was like, man, this is not good. The funniest thing that I saw, there was like the enforcer dude. He wore this like full length duster. He had this full length, and he was notorious up there. I don't even want to say his name. He's like Beetlejuice. I don't want to fucking summon this guy to my house.
Did he have a Yugoslavian accent? Did he have?
Of course he did.
Yeah. They rocked the accent.
The fucking big. He looked like Wolverine with his haircut. He had this like big hair, whatever. Right. This motherfucker, dude. He walked over, and as the little chick was running her mouth, he open hand slapped the one lieutenant so hard. It was like the cartoons. It whipped her head to the left, and those Tweety Bird glasses, I swear, in my head, they just stood in like, and then they fell. I was like, I looked at that chick. I was like, you fucking did that. He slapped her because of your fucking mouth. I was like, you did that to her. But it was the heart, like, immediately it snapped everybody into it, and everybody was like,
so I've got that's a similar story to that. Like I was getting filled in pretty good, big, strong dude, basically doing an open hand punch into my face. and I was like, and he's like, I'm gonna keep on beating you until you go down. I just kept staring at him in the eyes. I was stupid. I was like, challenging him. I was gone though, dude. I was gone. But I was a college football player. I was just getting my head hit. And so I was already kind of dead in the head. And I was like, all right, I'll just go down when I go down. And so he's like, okay, a better idea. Big black dude. He goes, better idea. Watch this. My number was 08. Watch this, 08. He goes across. All the girls are naked, like you're saying. Beats the crap out of the skinniest small thing. Her hair goes flying. He goes, huh? He goes, he turns to me the comrade talk. He goes, huh? How about now? I was like, I kind of smiled. I go, like that. He's like, go on. And he started beating everybody's ass.
Oh my God.
I was like, and then he came beat me up some more. And I sat down. Finally, he hit me so hard. He looks at me, he holds me up. I couldn't stand up anymore. He's holding me and beating me. He goes like this. He goes, there we go, 08. There we go. And he just let me fall down. I got everybody messed up. I didn't even say anything. But I kind of laughed with Jake. I was like, dude, her hair went flying. That was all
I'm gonna tell you, when we were in the cell and they said you can't go to sleep, I was like, fuck it, I'm sleeping. I would go to sleep. They would slap the shit out of you and wake you up.
Of course, that's the game. That's the game.
But I tell the story.
I almost failed mine. So
fail.
We got to the point. Dude, I wasn't fucking around with this one. So we got to the point where they call you in for your little one-on-one like talk or whatever. Yeah. This one fucking dude, I don't know how he knew, but it's my turn. They got me in there. They're going through the process. And I'm sitting down. No, I was standing up, and this fucking dude goes behind me, and he starts massaging my shoulders and whispering in my ears, and started fucking touching me. And I was like, oh
no.
So he started going down the gay route.
Oh no.
In my head, I'm like,
you were prepared for.
Motherfucker wants to know. I'm telling him.
They found it. They found your button.
Dude, that's
not me, man.
Something. They're like, we can't get him on anything.
Just hearing this story, I'm like, why is my mouth watering? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? What is?
I'll tell you one other funny one too. And one of my buddies that was there. It's the funniest thing. They were like, nobody touches this. You step get water. No one touches this. Don't make your feet touch. Like I said, my head was all jacked up. Dude beat the crap out of me. I walk over to get the water. Right away, I stomp on the thing. They said, not touch. They go, oh, everyone goes crazy. I didn't even know why they're going crazy. I was like, what's the problem? And honestly, I was like so gone. I could have been like, hi. They're like, oh, I grab the water. I'm drinking. Oh, they come over and they beat me and they beat everybody. And my buddy goes, yo, man, you're fucking hardcore. He's like, dude, you didn't give a fuck. They said, don't touch it. You were like, fuck you. You stepped on it. I was like, I looked at him like I did it by accident. He died laughing. It's like, I was like, everybody thought I was like defiant. They're like, yeah, fuck yeah, later. You showed him. I was like, I just did it by accident. You know, it was the funniest thing, man. That wasn't so funny for what happened, but I looked like I was all hardcore. It was just a stupid mistake. You know?
So before we went up there, the CO sat us all down, right? And was like, whatever you do, if you fail, we're gonna board you. And we may kick you out, okay? Because they had a big problem, maybe like 2 years before we went. So Dale Wooden, who is a savage, okay? He is a savage, broke us out. So we're outside of the prison, and I'm trying to convince Dale that we got to break back into the prison. Dale, we got to get back in our cells, bro. Like, right, we can't get kicked out. We cannot get kicked out, Dale. Dale's like, no, we're supposed to do this. I said, no, Dale. We're not allowed to break out of the prison. Like, we got to break back in. And I felt so bad because he was like, oh.
Hey, what year was that, man? Because I think we got briefed on this.
90.
I was going to say, it was before me.
98, 99.
Yeah. Because they were
talking about you got briefed when the SEALs took over the compound?
Oh, my God.
Dog, they beat they tied the cadre up and beat them for like 12 hours, and they really beat them. It wasn't no controlled beating. They tied them up and beat them, and then it was back. They sent a whole platoon up there. There was 16 dudes in the same platoon,
and that's why they were like, I had the 6'5", 330 guy beating me. And thank you so much, Jake. Really cool.
I apologize for the cats.
Again, get former NFL players to come in and just beat them up. Sweet. Thank you.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, though. That's still by far the best school that I've ever been to in my military career. Yeah. Like, it's an amazing school, man. And it just teaches you so much about yourself and your buddies to your left and right. Like, I've seen some big, tough dudes just fucking coward.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, there's two things. There's two things that brought me to my knees was that wood box they put you in.
Oh yeah.
And then blowing that smoke, that pipe smoke in your face. Mm-hmm. Them two things right there. I was like the box. Dude, I couldn't fit in the box. And they were jumping on the box, and then they keep you in there and you're cramping up. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
That box was awesome. I went to sleep in that bitch.
Dude, no, bro.
Dude,
mine was like Jake's. I passed out. Honestly, I went to fight or flight. I just kept breathing. I was like, just breathe. I passed out.
I was trying, Ben. I was trying. Just like you're saying, I was like, 1, 2, 3, breathe. And it was so bad, man.
Dude, I had a buddy that was claustrophobic. Well, he's not a buddy. He was just somebody in the class. So they put me in there, and I was so tired. Like, I went to sleep. I woke up to this fucking dude just screaming, top of his lungs, let me out, let me out, let me out. So he was claustrophobic. Like, I guess he didn't know until the course. Dude, he was just losing his fucking shit. He wanted out. So cadre comes up, and he went admin. Like, he just went to admin mode. He was like, hey, man, like, we can't let you out. Like, are you all right? And the fucking student just kept losing his shit. He was like, no, we're not going to let you out, right? So he kept them in there. And then after that iteration was done with, like, he spoke with them, like, admin, make sure he was good to go, let him go through the entire course. Once we got done, they relieved his ass because he quit. Yeah, you know what I mean? He was like, I fucking quit. I quit.
They were jumping up and down on the box to close it. I'm so stupid. My friend, the same friend that thought I was all hard when I stepped on the grate, he's smart. He's a smart dude. He pretended he couldn't fit. And he kind of was like standing so that like the box couldn't close it. I was like, oh, and they gave him a bigger box. My dumb ass, I like got squished down. They locked that fucker, jumped on it like Jake. Dude, literally, I felt the claustrophobia. Like I felt like crazy ass panic. And I was just like, and I like literally went to every like breathing technique I'd ever learned, all the stuff I learned, just like really just focused on just breath. And all of a sudden I passed out. And the guy asked me later, the doctor's like, how long do you think you're in the box for? I was like, 5 minutes. He's like, you were in there significantly longer than 35 minutes. I was like, I was gone. They woke me up.
Yeah. Dog, I was gone.
Yeah. I went to my happy place. It's like my body, my mind was like, he can't take it anymore. They shut me down. So you got that going for you. If things get bad, you'll just pass out. Don't worry about it.
There you go.
For everybody out there, you're fine. Don't worry.
Man, I love that we ripped off a slick 30 minutes on Sear School, just talking around a bunch of stuff. Like we can tell you about this, but we can't tell you why. We can't tell you about this technique, but we can tell you about this funny story. Like,
they'll come get me first. You guys aren't in the area I'm in. They'll fucking come right here.
You can't even joke around out there. Jokes will get you thrown in jail now.
This is all
wait, where are you at? Are you in Dubai right now, Ben?
It's an undisclosed location.
Okay. Don't you? Yeah, you're not going to get him there. We just talked about. They taught him how to resist, Jake. We just talked about it. You think you're going to get him off a dry snitch? Get out.
I was trying to hit him on the good friends. Hey Ben, where are you at?
Hey man. Let's say
for Vogue.
I was going to send you something on Uber Eats, right? And all I need is your address. So just man.
That's so nice. I'll tell you what.
That's so nice of everybody.
It's going to be a boxing match.
All right, Aaron, is there anything in the chat before we hit this first topic?
Let's look at the chat here. We got some people trying to figure it out. I love how the chat self-corrects. It's funny. Somebody says something stupid, and then 3 people tell them that they're stupid, which I'm just absolutely here for. We had a lot of questions. Ben, can I just can you confirm or deny that you're in J-Lo's house?
Yep.
Yeah, actually.
Hey, no, Ben, don't take credit for it because she got bad pussy, bro. Just don't even try to claim that shit, bro. She got bad.
Allegedly. To get away from libel, you have to find a way to protect yourself, Jake. You can't say definitively. You don't. Do you know?
Just hit Reddit, bro. Alex Rodriguez said it. It was terrible.
No, he did not say it.
Yeah, he said it was terrible. Yeah, they all said it, man.
This is the celebrity gossip that I care about. I'm here
Listen,
about it.
I don't care how fine you are. We had this conversation like Tupac. I don't care how fine you are. If it's bad, you out the door.
I just can't even.
You out gone.
Absolutely, Ben. Where's the warning? At Dylan, I'm gonna mark it down. Dylan, right now, when we put these reels out, when Ben put his hand on his face just prior to this little clip right here, that's a reel, and I need just the warning, like Ben's career flashing before his eyes, sort of stuff.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Next time.
Politically correct. That was politically correct.
That was not. You don't know what the term means now.
Scientific.
Now, you don't even. Now we got to work on your definitions of stuff, Jay, to clean it up and to move on to the next thing, as the listeners are asking us to do. There's nothing more in the chat. The chat is awesome. Okay. Super had a great question, but it's one of the topics that we're going to cover.
It shocked everybody. It shocked the world. Yeah. Everybody's just like, "What? We didn't see that coming." That's at J-Lo's house, and then Jake's in there telling it why I'm not there.
No, you're not there. You're not. You're at even Holly Berry. She's another one. Both of them goons. Terrible, man.
Halle Berry. Why is Halle Berry catching strays?
Fine. She's fine, and she packing garbage.
She is.
Dude,
yeah,
what?
Man, come on.
All right, guys.
Oh my God. Guys, I just
Let's go.
Yeah, Ben's out. That's it.
Hey, I said it politically correct.
This is what we do.
That's it.
We'll hit this first topic real quick, and then we'll continue to banter. You know what? J-Lo and Holly, they're gonna show up in the chat one of these days. Fucking set you
bring them. I'm gonna send them to Ben's house for a tryout.
Yeah, while we're
I'm gonna be there. Literally, I'll like walk around. I'll run into people, and I can just see it coming. And be like, "Hey, did you say something?" I'm like, "I didn't say anything." No, it's Jake. Where's Jake? I don't know where he is.
No, you just tell him he in San Antonio. Go see him. Go see him. He'll make him a world star. He'll hit you with world star. Go ahead, go see him. World star.
As he says, you'll get the shotty in the face, sir.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes, quite. Yes, going to get shot in the face. The crossover of you being on World Star, that would literally break the internet. Like if you and J-Lo were walking down the street and you had to tune up 3 dudes and it ended up on World Star, Jake comes in out of nowhere with a shotty and a bad attitude.
This would be really viral. I don't know how it all end up for me personally, but it would really do well for
directly to jail. What are you asking? What do you mean you don't know? I can tell you what's going to happen. Directly to jail, you square jawed.
I'm familiar with World Star. What is that?
Don't worry about that. It's a place where they post all the fights. They post all the fights, man. But here's the deal. We're in Texas. So all I'm going to claim is Mortal Kombat. And then I can kill the person and not go to jail. Like, so I'm good. Do you agree to Mortal Kombat? Yes, I do. Good.
Everybody, this is not legal advice. Okay, now we've gotten into a very dangerous area where Jake's giving you legal advice with your life on the line.
We do not condone this or approve of it in any way.
Right? Yeah. Jay, get us to this first topic, or we're never going to talk. We got to go.
The first.
I do not approve this message.
First topic. All right. So Army Private King sentenced for desertion after fleeing to North Korea. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but it was amazing. All right. So Army Private King, who fled to North Korea in 2023, has been sentenced to 1 year in prison, but was released to time served.
Mm-hmm. Because he's been gone for a while.
Oh, yeah. He pleaded guilty to desertion and insubordination. All right. King's actions stem from dissatisfaction with the military, and his lawyers stated that he had personal struggles, including mental health and health issues. All right, so he got a dishonorably discharge. And he is back on the streets walking around. So now when you guys hear this, I don't know if you guys followed this story, but what are you guys' initial thoughts as far as soldiers essentially fucking deserting because the service that they were in or the situation that they were in was just that bad, right? Jake, what do you got?
Buckle up.
Okay, I'm gonna give you two ones. Not crazy. Okay, when a U.S. Navy ship goes to Australia, they normally are missing between 1 and 5 guys when they get underway. Okay, and it takes them normally a couple weeks to find them because Australia is one of those places where they love American men. Okay, so that's a solid place to go AWOL. Like, I'm gonna go AWOL where people love me. Okay. But to walk across a bridge into North Korea, like obviously the dude's messed up in the head, right? Like, I'm gonna tell you this, I probably would have gave him an award and just let him get out the military because the year and some change he spent in North Korea was enough punishment for him to be like, oh yeah, I messed up. And if it's not, then he's officially crazy and he need to do what he got to do. But to me, I mean, there's some places you want to desert to. Like you pull into port in the Dominican Republic, I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? But North Korea, come on, man.
I don't get it either. Yeah, I don't know, man. There are very few things that I draw hard lines on anymore, right? Like the older you get, the more you realize you don't know. There is nuance and gray area and a lot of conversations. I do think that there are spaces where there is a right and a wrong. And I think that's a personal thing that I do. I'm not saying that everybody else should do that. So there's the disclaimer there. I think desertion here, I think this is one of those right or wrong things. There is something to be said for you signed a contract, you're going to serve the contract, you're going to stay in until whatever. But if you're at the level of desertion and, there's in the chats here, and a lot of these are unverified claims, so I'm not going to make any of the claims. I've read them because I do live in that internet space. He was a problem child way before he ever did the desertion thing. He had a long history of disciplinary issues. With somebody like that, if they come to you and they're like, listen, I thought the Army was going to be one thing. I got sold a bill of goods. It's not. I want to get out. And if you don't let me get out, I'm going to do some wild stuff. I think there should be an off-ramp for those people because it's an all-volunteer fort. Like, I get it, you signed a contract and you entered into it, but it's obvious that he did not value that contract. He did not value the reason that he was serving. And then he acted out in such a manner that really did hurt American relations on a geopolitical scale. Like you traipsing your happy ass across the DMZ and going and deserting to North Korea, which is, one of the 5 that we're consistently worried about for their, nuclear aspirations and the way that they handle themselves in the world. Man, I don't have a whole lot of tolerance for it, right? What's the penalty for desertion again? It used to be death. And I'll tell you what, if you look at what's going on, we're here in America, we're one election and probably like 5 or 6 missed meals away from some of these videos that are going on in Ukraine and Russia of people, young military age men getting snatched up off the streets, or when they come back, just getting straight executed. Hey man, I think desertion for me is a serious thing. Like I saw this news story. I couldn't believe, like, just leave them. Like, you want to denounce your American citizenship and you want to go over to the U.S., the demilitarized zone and go to North Korea. Have a good life. Tight. have fun in North Korea, I guess. Like, I don't know how harsh or how cynical it is to say that, but desertion is a serious thing to me. Like, I don't know. This story pissed me off. I'll just say that straight. This story pissed me off more than the Bo Bergdahl story, because I spent a good amount of my adult life on deployments looking for that fuck after he deserted. Like, we were still getting pings and we were still looking for him like the entire time that I was deploying. That guy, I have serious bad things to say about Bo Bergdahl, but that's just me.
Dude, I'm trying to get a hold of Bo so I can interview him and figure out.
Tell him I said fuck off. Tell him I said eat a dick.
What was so bad that he was willing to run away and go get butt fucked by the Taliban? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
No, I think the same thing. I think obviously UCMJ needs to be brought in full force, Uniform Code of Military Justice, full force. You know, they have the rules for a reason too. I mean, the job is hard, it's scary, all those things. You go in, desertion is a offense, used to be punishable by death, like you said. I think in a time of war it still is, but
it is.
I could be wrong. So I mean, you know, I think definitely, but they have to also probably evaluate the psychological standing of this guy, young guy, and then the whole thing of leaving no one behind. If they realize it's a mistake and they express interest to come back home, you realize the error of your ways. That's that paternalistic side of the military too, where we hate it a lot, but when you get your ass covered, you know, by some good decisions or some good support, you know, you like it when you're in harm's way and in a rough time. So I'd like to see what this guy's attitude is now. After he thought, I'm going to go be saved going to North Korea. And they just snatched him up, put him in jail, probably psychologically tortured him, messed with him. We're like, thought he's some agent, you know, who knows? And I think he probably learned quickly, like, these are not my friends. They're not my people. They don't like me. So, you know.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys think we need to do a better job screening at MEPS as far as mental health issues prior to letting guys in? Because as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, man, maybe some of this mental health instabilities could have been caught at MEPS. Or do you guys think that we're so foregone as far as hurting for personnel that we're laxing the standards as it relates to that?
We're seeing it both ways, brother. I'll tell you what, the Army is straight up lying about their recruiting numbers with the number of waivers and the number of non-commits that they're getting. They're like, oh yeah, no, totally, we hit our recruiting goal. No, they lied to you. They lied to you like real hard. That news story kind of came out about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. They've been fudging the numbers, basically saying, oh yeah, no, we're going to get you a morality. What do they call it? A moral waiver, morality waiver. Yep. Morality waiver or something like that. Yep. We're going to get you a morality waiver. These med things are going to, and they're getting turned away at MEPS. Well, that makes the recruiter, they're like, well, hey man, I sent them to MEPS. The Army, the recruiting numbers are way worse. Like, they have baked a lot of that nonsense into the cake. So we're seeing it both ways.
Yeah,
I got one for you, man. So my young 7th grader came home talking about he felt depressed. He was having a little anxiety. I'm gonna tell you, I slapped the shit out of him, man. Like, flat out.
Jesus Christ. Like, parenting advice. Here we go. Legal advice. Parenting advice. J-Lo pussy recommendations.
Look, this is what
wild.
I told Aaron. I told you. I told him. I said, don't bring that shit home from school. Okay, yeah. Don't listen to that shit they telling you. I said, because I'm gonna tell you right now, young man, I'm gonna move your ass outside that tent with no sleeping bag, no pillow, nothing. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about some anxiety and depression? You're gonna go sleep out there for a month. All of a sudden, he was cured. He said, "No, Dad, I'm good."
Yeah,
I thought so. Okay, like that stuff, that whole get in touch with your feelings shit. Like, they trying to take all the hardness out of everybody. Mm-hmm. It's being bred in the schools.
Yeah, I have 2 comments on it, and I don't intend to go down a rabbit hole. But number one, maybe sitting in a room 4 times a month complaining about every bad thing that's ever happened to you, maybe that breeds victim status. Like, I want you to really think about how sitting in a room with somebody and telling all of the terrible things about your life and how bad it hurt, and going and asking for help and having that, like, if psychology worked, there'd be no more patients. Their goal is not to cure you. Their goal is not to, their goal is to see you in perpetuity for the rest of your life. Maybe sitting down with somebody and talking about, like, of course we all need mental health help. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying, like, an extremist, of course we do. Of course there are mental health problems that can be worked through and you can be taught how to overcome. Of course, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the way that we approach therapy now is absolutely ridiculous. That's number one. And number two, on the mental contagion aspect of it, here's a fun internet game. Go and look where these things are the hottest. You can find heat maps for all of these sort of things, like people that identify as transgender, people that identify as having anxiety disorders, people that identify or self-initiate their own treatment by essentially diagnosing themselves and being like, oh, there was this whole trend on TikTok that it was like people diagnosing themselves with autism. I have an interesting question for you. How in the world could that be geographically located in a hotspot if it's not a mental contagion? How in the world can you have, like, if you look, there was a family and both of the father was queer, the mother was trans, however it is that worked out. They had 3 kids. Guess how many of the kids turned out to be trans? All three. Do you know the statistical probability of that happening in a real sense? People that have gender dysphoria or fall somewhere on there. So if you could explain it to me how we aren't walking kids into exactly that, talking about it constantly at school, talking about all these things constantly among their friend group, constantly on social media. I simply do not believe that we've had a 700% increase in people identifying in some of those things. And that's mental health issues along with the LGBTQIA2+ LMNOP mafia that we have working inside of the United States of America at this point. You will never convince me that it's not a mental contagion because I can show you the data and I can show you in certain city centers, which are more liberal than others, this happens at a rate that is statistically impossibly higher. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll just say this. So first of all, I think thoughts become things. I think it's very important what you focus your mental capacity, your abilities on. There's some truth to what everybody's saying right now, but I think mental health is a very serious thing. The brain, as we're learning more and more about the way your brain works, even through machine learning, as we map the brain and learn how it works in an effort to imitate it with AI, we're learning so much more. So, I mean, the thing I think, from my part, and I think you guys would agree with it as well too, is that if you feel you're not okay, I just want to say that it's okay to get help. It's okay to talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Now, at the same time, if all you do is focus on your pain and why it's so bad, you're probably going to get a lot more of that in your life. What you focus on, you move towards. What you focus on, you feel, and you're going to feel more of. And I think it's so important that, gratitude is very important, focusing on what's going well in your life. Okay. Even if it's just one thing, and then trying to expand these things and make them better. Obviously, if you're having a real anxiety problem, you got to get to the root of where is that coming from? Where does the anxiety come from? Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's an alcohol problem. I mean, I'll tell you right now, after a night of booze and the next day, you don't feel all chipper and like ready to take on the world, right? Maybe you have a prescription drug problem. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just something that's wearing away at you, a decision you have to make, or procrastination, which is rooted in fear. So there's all these things. And I think talk therapy, I believe, does work. I think it helps. So I believe, first of all, that all the answers are really within us. And that if you have a good therapist or a good psychologist working with you, or a good coach even, right? I mean, shoot, any type of coach, football coach, whatever. But if they're, or life coach, all that stuff, if they're leading you on a path to find the answers for yourself, and you can unwind some things that are messing you up, that are making you feel that anxiety or that, that fear or whatever it is, you're going to be better for it, So, I mean, I would keep that in mind, everyone out there listening. And just for my part, I definitely think that your mind is very flexible. It's, their neural networks heal, they expand. You can grow neural networks in your brain as well. I mean, through TBI studies, all those things like that. And you just don't know. Maybe you're a football player, maybe you're a boxer, maybe you took a couple headshots, right? And that CT is something they don't discover till post-mortem after you die. So if you're constantly having dark thoughts out there and you don't know why, and no matter how much you lock in, how much you work, whatever you do, that you're still getting these things, definitely might be okay to get some help and to figure out a little more through people that really study this stuff, how you can get better. But again, where I agree with Aaron on as well too, but if you constantly focus on how bad things are and you're commiserating all the time, you're going to get more of it in your life, right? I mean, you're going to feel more of it. It's one thing to say, okay, this is bad, I'm feeling this way, some messed up stuff did happen, but now what? Now what are we going to do? How are we going to move forward? How are we going to achieve? What are my goals? What do I want in life? What am I going to do with this fucking beautiful life you've been given? You're right. Alive, right? And no matter what you have going on, you got a chance to make things better, to live a better life. So use that as a tool, but don't wallow in it and just feel sorry for yourself, because there's something called learned helplessness. Okay, there's a Dr. Martin Seligman created this thing called learned helplessness, where I'll give you the example that I talk to my clients about a lot of times too, is that if you take a baby elephant, you tie it to a tree with a rope, okay, it quickly learns it can't break that rope. By the time it's an adult elephant, nothing can stop it. But because of learned helplessness, it's been taught, I can't do anything about this situation, so I'm not even going to try. So don't let your talk therapy or your introspection get you to that point. Keep trying, keep fighting, keep resisting, keep getting better. All right. And that's my piece for that.
Well, yeah, you said it way, you said it way better than I did. That's great clarification there, man. Because and that's exactly what I mean. You know, people view therapy as like, oh, I'm just going to go talk to my therapist every week, and they never take step 2, which is I don't want to talk to this therapist anymore. So I want to get to the root causes of these problems and actually become a better person. It's so in vogue right now to go to your therapy appointment, post about it on TikTok, and self-diagnose with autism. You go to a doctor, you're like, hi, I'm autistic. Be like, oh, really? Who told you that? Well, TikTok and Reddit. Well, maybe you're just fucking stupid. Did you ever think about that? No? All right.
I'll tell you what, this is a good segue for me to introduce. So I just finished this book called No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's a fucking phenomenal book if you guys have never read it. And it pretty much lays out like the path we took to get to where we are now. And the guy that wrote it, he's a mind doctor, not a mind doctor, but he's a psych. And he boils it down to, it all started around World War II, where majority of the men were going off to war. And that left all the kids to the women, right? And they started, since the guys were gone, the men weren't spending a lot of time with their dads. So they spent a lot of time with the females. And then Vietnam happened. It was more the same. And it just continued to where guys weren't spending a lot of time with father figures to smack some sense into him, to use Jake's word, to say, oh, you think it's bad now? Like, I'm going to put your ass outside and you let me know exactly how you feel after that, right? So the book goes through how we got to where we are now, and it provides a shit ton of strategy as far as how to break that chain, that learned behavior, to essentially get your fucking masculine back and not be a Mr. Nice Guy anymore, and practice those disturbing behaviors that we see nowadays. So really good fucking book, audio book. I just finished it, and it just, because we know all this stuff's going on, but we don't know like the root of it, you know, most of the time. And it's actually a really good read. So audience, if you're out there, like I said, it's an audio book. It's on YouTube. It's free. I would listen to it. It will really open my eyes.
So
nice. Yep, I just dropped the book in the chat, so I'll find the link to the find the link to the actual audiobook right now. Go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
Sorry, Ian. Hey, so I'm going to tell you this: after coaching football for 15 years, one of the number one questions we're going to ask is there a dad at home?
Yep.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have a dad in the house, I don't care how talented kid is, you got an 18-month period of masculine and making that kid masculine when he gets to your program. It is not a natural occurrence. He's going to handle stuff like cattiness and women. He's not going to be able to accept criticism. And I'm going to tell you, it's like one of the first questions on the recruit. Does he have a dad? Right? Like, what's his dad? No dad in the family. Who's he raised with? Was their grandfather in the family? Oh, his uncle. So the story I'm going to tell you, this is a good one, man. Jerry Gaither's dad wasn't in the family, but his uncle was. And they were trying to make him into an NBA center. So Jerry Gaither's a 6'10" and 3/4 right tackle from Maryland that got caught smoking weed, dropped way down in the draft, was a top 5 draft pick. But I talked to him because, like, that dude was a savage, a 6'10" savage, okay?
Terrifying.
This is the dude that beat everybody up in the locker room, right?
Yeah, same dude that beat everybody up in the locker room.
Terrifying. Oh, my God.
I said, how did you get this way? He said, my uncle was trying to train me to be in the NBA, and he loved Dennis Rodman and the Pistons, right? When they're the bad boys. And he's like, he would have boxing gloves on, and I would practice basketball, and he would be beating me up for 2 hours, just wailing on me. And I would try to call foul. He'd be like, there ain't no foul. And I'm like, okay, well, now we know. Now we know
I guess there's no foul then. Yeah. Jeez.
Now we understand how you became a 6'10" savage, right? Like, his uncle was wearing him out. And I said, when did this start? He was like, oh, man, about 3rd grade. I was like, 3rd grade? He was like, yeah, I was already almost 6 foot tall. And everybody knew I had tall jeans. I was going to the NBA. And he started wailing on me. I was like, shit, okay.
Jeez.
So, you know.
I tell you where there's a lot of whaling going on, the Middle East, right? So U.S. is sending more troops to the Middle East as violence rises in the region, all right? So the U.S. is sending more troops to the Middle East as violence rises in the region. Hezbollah and Israel increasing fears of broader region conflict. All right, while the Pentagon hasn't disclosed the exact number of troops that they are sending, it is approximately, guesstimate on my part, 40,000 last time I saw, leaving the U.S. and heading to the Middle East to ensure that nothing crazy happens. As I'm reading this story, guys, do you guys have any, what are you guys' thoughts? And you guys, how do you guys feel about us possibly getting involved in this, right? Because now they went from Gaza, Palestine, now they're fighting in Lebanon. Iran is now saying, hey, like, you're baiting us into, you know, getting involved, and we will if you keep doing what you're doing. Like, what are you guys' concerns as you guys listen to this story?
I mean, I'll just say I think it's a strategic blunder for Iran to think that, okay, do it. What are you going to do? Because guess what? If we decide to whoop your ass,
if we decide to glass you, we're going to. Do
your thing. Come and act tough. Come do all your shit. Their best course of action is what they're doing right now: proxy warfare. You don't want to get in the fight with the 800-pound gorilla who can fight with one hand here and one hand there and smash you. You know, I mean, I think that's some posturing by them. You know. Or just, you know, decapitating their leadership pretty quickly if we choose to do so. So, yeah, I mean, the one thing pops in my mind, honestly, and you know, without the strategic talk right now, is as someone in a conventional force, when you hear this, we're building up forces without a declared theater of conflict, right? You know what you're going to do. You're going to be sitting there. And this isn't soft. We're saying, you know, the big infantry, stuff like that, Marine Corps, you're going there and you're going to sit and you're going to wait and probably not a lot's going to happen. They're wishing it would happen. You know, that's the good thing about, you know, your military is that they're ready, willing, and able and ready to go, which is a great thing. But unfortunately, I shouldn't say that. I'm just speaking from a Marine standpoint, from all our standpoints, probably how we feel. I mean, if you're with certain units, I mean, there's stuff going to be probably happening, but that's few and far between. Most of the time, it's a big mass movement, MoveX. You're going to sit there, wait, and then if it kicks off, it kicks off. But you know, most likely not. You know, so it's again a big strategic move that we're closing the space. Okay, probably nothing better for negotiation. That's important, ground troops. But when the carrier battle group comes offshore and sits there, you know, we just run sorties all day, all night. Carrier battle group or two, negotiations change pretty quickly. If we just start running sorties on your position, I mean, that's straight from an ambassador I spoke with once, and he was just like, yeah, he's like, you know, when you look out the window in the bay and there's a carrier battle group sitting out there, negotiations suddenly change. We're like, okay, really? You don't want to, how's this going? We want to flex up some more or no? Because guess what? We can do this for 60 days with no declaration of anything. And just pound the crap out of you with ordnance. So day and night, nonstop. I mean, so I think that's, you know, it's important strategically.
Yeah. And I think it is great. You know, when you talk about deterrence and we talk about bargaining, you know, being able to bargain, like I think that there has to be, you know, just like Teddy Roosevelt, walk softly, carry a big stick. There has to be a big stick somewhere. The only thing that works in international negotiations, and I will tell you the two things that work: violence and the threat of violence. Those two things work in international negotiations and nothing else does. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how good you are. If it does not come to violence or the threat of violence, and there's very smart people that have entire books that wrote this. That's what negotiation is. Okay. Sometimes the violence is a little bit understated. Sometimes it's overstated. The thing that worries me about this. So Hezbollah has been just like absolutely battering. They've got like 80,000 civilians that are displaced in the north of Israel. They've been firing rockets in there forever. Hezbollah is 100% an Iran proxy. This has been bubbling for a long time. That was actually a lot of the very smart folks right after October 7th were like a nightmare scenario for this is that Israel tries to go into Gaza. And when they do, Hezbollah takes the north of Israel. And that's what essentially happens. So now they have 80,000 to 100,000 civilians displaced. Here's the problem. These idiots over here at New York at an anti-Israel rally for at the UN features signs that says New York for Hezbollah. What are we doing? What are we talking about? Like these are the sort of things. And, you know, Ben really laid out a case for the dichotomy of the four dudes that, you know, you see here on your screen. I have grown. You would think that, you know, somebody like me, somebody like Ben, like you heard it in his voice when he's like, man, those Marines, they want to fucking go. They don't want to sit on that boat. They want to, hey, get me out of the littoral space, put me on the ground. And, you know, I'm going to turn this into Fallujah 2005. And I'm going to kick in 45 doors down this street. And then I'm going to kick in 45 doors down this street. And if anybody raises their voice at me, I'm going to shoot them in the face. That's what they're meant to do, right? there's a certain part of us that all want that. There's also a large part of us that have, through our 20-year career, 20-year plus, or, through our experiences, I have become very non-interventionalist. Like I am I am not hawkish at all. I'll be the last person in the world to be like, oh yeah, just throw a carrier group over there. And if they F around, just go ahead and, raise them and do all this other stuff. And man, maybe we ought to just go ahead and, take Iran completely out, as opposed to, funding them $6 billion, which the Biden-Harris administration did do shortly before October 7th. And money is fungible. You can spend that on whatever you want. That's not the point. The point is when we have these tensions that are ratcheted up, the number one question that I really have to ask myself is, in what interest does this align for America to spend more blood and more treasure to fix a problem that you're not going to fix it? Because the American public does not have the Constitution to fix the Iran problem. Because what you need to do to fix Iran is you glass it and you make it a parking lot for the beach. That is the fix for Iran. But we do not have the Constitution to prosecute that sort of war. And therefore, I really don't like what we're doing right now. But that's just me. Jake.
Aaron, I told you, I'm going to change my location from West Texas to like South Padre. We're just going to carve out the same size Israel footprint.
Right.
And give them South Padre Island in that part of Texas. Okay. And then at least then no one will mess with them. Right? Like, and, I know there's a bunch of sacred sites over there. We can just raise those up and bring them over here too, right?
Good.
Bethlehem.
Yeah. Logistics, no big deal. Yeah, we got it. Deal. Temple Mount, just bring it right over. It'll look great.
Here's the
deal.
It'll
look great. Aaron. It'll look great in a Buc-ee's parking lot.
If we spend $1 trillion bringing it over here, it will save us $50 trillion over the next 50 years of garbage that we're dealing with. But I'm just a realist. Like, I agree with you. It ain't nothing going to fix that over there.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I just don't want to see more Americans die.
Yeah, maybe I'm just too cynical, and my cynicism is being masked as anti-interventionalism, or because I'm definitely not. There are times I think that America has to intervene. Like I think you do, but I don't think you stay. I think you're there to provide the violence that you need to let everybody remember that we will come in and we will kill you if you screw up, and we're gonna use that to negotiate the next time. But I see carrier group sitting off the coast, and then all of a sudden we're plussing up everybody in the green zone, and then all of a sudden we have a whole bunch more folks that have to go and to Iraq, in order to stage to go to Iran or whatever, wherever it is that we're going to go, because we don't have Turkey anymore. So when you start seeing these people are picking up troop movements, people are picking up, they're understanding the security. Like, this is a very dangerous time. It's a very dangerous time
I think
to flow people there.
If we see a steel mountain being built in the region, then we know something's probably going to go down. That you need to have a steel mountain, meaning, armor, weaponry, material.
And that's a quote from the first Iraq war, by the way, too. That's what they called Kuwait. We built a mountain of iron and then pushed it into Iraq the first time.
We start having like KBR and everybody going in there with all the contractors. I mean, no, but it's true though, right? Because they're going to follow and trace, start establishing things. Then, but again, who's going to do that? I mean, I think here's the thing about internet. Here's the thing about power, right? Realpolitik, power movements in generally in the international world, right? So it really requires some very hard decisions, because what we're trying to protect, one of the things is there's a global economic order that we really created after World War II, and to make sure that we don't deal with the bullshit that happened in World War II again with a massive, just destructive war. And so keeping a lot of that in order is where the interventionism comes in. I'm in agreement with you. It's like there's a huge cost to it, but at some point when you see things really being tested, really being pushed, and you learn what's going on behind the scenes, the plans to start a new economic order. Like right now, all financial transactions run through New York. We could collapse Iran's economy. That's also a very powerful coercive tool. We've done it in the past with hyperinflation, and it gets leaders changed. I mean, revolutions happen, things like that. This isn't anything new, I'm telling people, but there are many tools we can use in international relations and in world power in order to meet our interests without blood and treasure. So there are other things we can do too. Pressuring alliances, partnership, trade deals, denying technology. There are a lot of things we can do. A lot of different.
Just say dime fill. And have people look it up. I'll go get the link. I'll get it. This is how we negotiate, everybody. It's called dime fill.
It's good for people to know that though too. Yeah, it's good for people to know that. Yeah. So I mean, all those things. So that stuff is all out there, and I think that we have to be aware of what combinations, what ways we can use to meet the ends, the ways and means to meet the ends and the objectives we have, and why does it matter? That's the important thing.
Yeah, I just think that it actually shows like greater strength if we're able to take care of this problem without, the missiles and the bombs and everything else that the world already knows that we have, right? So how do we go in there and not necessarily, shed blood, but get Iran and all these other people to come to the table and say, hey, man, like, we can destroy you just like this. However, let's talk it through, right? Yeah. Like, there's got to be a way to do that.
Jay, there's no way to do it.
Yeah.
There's 2,000 years of history.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, man, you can, like, Muslims don't like Jews and Jews don't like Muslims.
Well, that's the hottest take we've ever had on here, huh?
Oh,
that's the great.
All will be revealed.
That's going to be one reel. That's it. It's just going to be Jay going, hey, guys, newsflash. These Muslims, boy, they don't like the Jews. And I got to be honest with you. The Jews don't like the Muslims, okay?
It's going to be a big CNN interview.
Millions of views.
I'm waiting for it. You ready?
Ex-Navy SEAL, black Jew, Jake Zwig figures out international conflict by this one simple trick, and boy, did the Ayatollahs hate him.
Cutscene to Nobel Peace Prize.
They get the Medal of Freedom from old oatmeal
Time
brains, Joe Biden.
Cover, Time magazine cover.
Old Joe Byron, he's in there going, boom!
Joe Byron, did you say that? That's hilarious.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to something a little bit lighter. All right, we'll transition into something a little bit lighter to help the audience calm down. Right, so tough lacrosse players hospitalized after training with Navy SEAL grads.
Oh man!
All right, Jake, you want to take this one?
My guys, man, listen, okay. So Jay and I are both in this training space. Ben, I'm sure you've got called to go train some people. Aaron, you have to probably. I saw you training some people. You cannot imply what you're capable of doing to any set of human beings ever that have not been through what you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know the details. I've gotten 1,000 emails about it. I can tell you he did one of two things. He either did 1,000 body weight squats or he tried to do 1,000 push-ups with them.
Yep.
Okay. Having been in these situations, a major Division I school, I gave them everything I had for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. They ate it like it was snacks. Okay. I did a Division III school and they were not in as good a shape. And I gave them 20 minutes and then I reeled it way back in because they weren't eating any of it. And we made it last an hour and 30 minutes and not the 2 hours and 15 that we had planned, because I'm not sending nobody to the hospital for rhabdo. I'm just,
you're right.
Like, I'm a professional and I'm trying to get them to be better, but I got to meet them where they are. I guarantee you it was one of those two exercises. It was either 1,000 push-ups or 1,000 8-count body squats. And here's the other one I'm going to tell you. Iowa had this problem because they used to do 100 squats in one workout. And they sent a bunch of people to the hospital for rhabdo. So here's what I'm going to say. You got a young buck fresh out of SEAL training, coming back to his school, godlike status, and he crushed the lacrosse team. Hopefully everybody's okay. I know as of earlier this week, there were still 3 people in the hospital or 2 in the hospital.
Yeah, there's still quite a bit in the hospital. And I'll say this before I kick it over to Aaron. So I don't like that these guys got fucked up, but it shed light on what it takes to build people like us, right? As far as the instructor space, because there's been a lot of different programs out there promising people that they can make them like a special forces operator, promising them that, they can help build grit and mental toughness and all. But I'm like, man, when I was going through the schoolhouse to become an instructor and the Q course, there was so much training that I had to go through and so many certifications that I had to get, because at the end of the day, all the students that I was in charge of, Those were people's sons. Those were people's freaking brothers. Like, I had a responsibility to give it 100% to make sure that they were getting safe instruction and that they were going to be able to go home to their freaking kids and their wives, right? Just because you have that trident or you have that tab or you have, you know, that beret doesn't make you an instructor. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know when to, you know, apply your foot on the pedal and hit the brakes and, you know, see what mental status or what mental state that individual's in, and when you need to counsel them and when you need to crush them, like, if you don't know how to do that, then you're in no position to teach and to mentor anybody into becoming the best version of themselves, right? That's just the reality of it. These guys, you know, they leave the service and they hit the civilian space and they think that automatically makes them a freaking guru to help individuals achieve like the highest level of success, when they have no idea what an instructor goes through to be able to teach, coach, and mentor these students that'll coming through. You know what I mean? So it's a dangerous space to be in if you don't know what you're doing.
And Jay, I don't think he's fresh out of buds, like SQT.
It's the very first. I saw the news story and I was like, guaranteed this guy wasn't an instructor, because I know specifically. I watched buds. Like, I was an instructor at our schoolhouse. I went and I watched buds. I was on Coronado for like a month and a half. Like, I learned how they train their instructors and the rigorous program and we do the same thing in the Air Force. I used to give the guys, Jay, to your credit, I used to give my guys the exact same speech when they would get to the school. So I'd be like, listen, you've been through, there was like a cooling off period. You had to be like qualified in like 3 different things before you were even allowed to drop students at our schoolhouse. Like, you were, as an instructor, you would be too young because it was that important. Like, you had to be able to look at how hot is it out? What was the prior training? You can't just go out and smoke people. You'll hurt them. You'll hurt them like this guy did. And to your credit, man, people from the outside looking in think that this is just pure chaos. Like, selection is just, we're going to punch you in the mouth over and over and over again. No, it is science. It is a scientific process conducted by the best professionals that you have in those respected career fields, and that's across the DoD. Good instructors at these programs are better instructors than probably anybody else in the military, and I've always stood by that. And I think it's because of all the things that we're talking about here. When I saw this story, I was like, that guy has never been an instructor. Just because you went through assessment and selection does not mean you can run an assessment and selection sort of training event. And that's why, especially when, you know, there's people out there in the space that are doing these hell nights and hell days and stuff, it takes me a long time to say somebody's name that they're doing it right. You know, Jason Sweet, SoCom Athlete, those guys are doing it right. Deep End Fitness, those guys are doing it right. 18 Alpha Fitness, those guys are doing it right. There's a whole host of other folks that I know, you know, Chris Tomez, Guardian Grit. These people are doing it right, but because they were all master instructors, or they've perfected their craft in such a way that they know how to construct a training event safely. So when I saw this, man,
some of these guys though, some you have to remember too, and we know in our community, there's some elite athletes who just show up and they're done with their sport or whatever, and they want to do something else. And Jake, you've seen this in Division I football. There are some freak of nature athletes that are, you know, top 1% in the world, who they succeed despite themselves. They're guys who eat like a piece of white bread and jelly and they still grow massive muscle. You know what I mean? Like, just there are people like that. They got a 40-inch vertical. Why? Because they do. You know,
LeBron James.
They worked really hard to get fast. No, they're just fast. You know what I mean? So there's some people that can go through training and they just have a high degree of this endurance, a power and endurance ratio, like they're a natural CrossFit athlete, and they thrive in these environments, you know? And so if one of those becomes an instructor without being an instructor, they take up one of these things. I'll teach you to be like me. They don't even know why they succeeded, you know? So you got to be very careful. It's like, you know, we've seen them. We've seen people like this. They succeed despite themselves. They're smoking a cigarette before they run their PT test and they crush it, you know?
Yep.
Shout out to Dunn. 415 mile with a cigarette burning for the first 6 minutes of it, laughing at people. Laughing.
Wild. That's
hilarious.
Wild. But yeah, I just wanted to hit that one, man. Because again, like, I get it, but at the end of the day, like, you just got to be careful when it comes to fucking with other people's kids, man. Because
that's a good way to put it too, man. That's somebody's daughter. That's like, who knows, you know, what those people had going for them, and hopefully they're all okay at the end. But the second I saw it, it just broke my little heart. I was just like, man, I know exactly what it's so easy to let those things get away from you. It's just
and the thing is too, what is the performance standard for 1,000 squats? Tell me when you're going to 1,000 squat ever in combat. You're never going to. I'd rather see you have a ruck on your back or a bullet bouncer with a rubber rifle and see you move for 24 hours with that, and do all kinds of different manipulations that are combat task related than doing 1,000 squats. You know what I mean? So that's at least my thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's neither here nor there. So these next stories are kind of related. They're the tales of two different sides as it comes to things, right? So the Naval Academy is, I'm just going to read this one. The U.S. Naval Academy argues that race and its admission process strengthen the military by promoting diversity, which enhance its effectiveness and representation of American value. All right. So this is the Naval Academy arguing this. And then on the Army side, Army top enlisted leader removed diversity consideration for top enlisted roles. So Sergeant Major Weimer, he's an ex-Green Beret, ex-Delta Force dude, has removed the diversity consideration, saying that, hey, senior leaders should be selected based on merit and performance, as opposed to, hey, we want a black sergeant major here, we want a Hispanic sergeant major there. Like, he's removed that consideration. And then on the Navy side, the Naval Academy, they say, no, DEI is good because it mimics what our society looks like, right? So two different takes. All right, Jake, if you don't mind kicking this one off, since you are a hybrid, black and white.
Hang on.
You mutant.
I'm gonna have to defer to Ben Pappas because you're not gonna like my answer. Okay, you're not gonna like my answer. So I'm gonna let Ben Pappas start this off, and then I'm gonna come in, and I'm over here woo-sawing political correctness. Right, am
I putting on my officer hat now? Am I putting on my officer hat?
Well, you put on your cake eater.
The right thing to do for the military because they told us we should say it. No, so I see the historical trends. At least in my mind, I think because I'm trying to be sensitive to the fact that at a certain point in time there were a hard ceiling and some gates, and the gates and doors were closed. And so I think that's where a lot of these things come from, where, at a certain point in time, you'd hear so-and-so is so capable, but they're going to go with this guy because of who he is and his legacy, or his, who his father was, and all these things like that. And that could be race as well too. That's very unspoken, but those things are out there. I think there've been enough cases in history. So I see where it came from. And what this tells me is that maybe we're at an inflection point right now, a point in time where, that is lessened quite a bit, to where now, okay, we've removed a lot of the barriers, we've opened up a lot of opportunities, and now if that's coming from someone like the Sergeant Major, who's the former Delta and SF guy, and he's saying, hey, a lot of that is gone now, and I'm saying this because I'm a person who is credible enough to say this in this space because it's my history and my part of my life and my experience, then I think we have to listen to some of those things too, because at some point then it also degrades the credibility and the value of making those choices. And so now if you level the playing field once more and say, okay, just based upon merit only, that we have removed a lot of these barriers, and it's much easier for people to rise up from different races, colors, creeds, all those things. And the opportunity is there, then I can see the value of that. And I think that's probably important to consider that. Now for the Naval Academy, I don't know, again, you have to look at the problem and see what are they trying to solve? What's the issue? Is there a recruiting issue in getting, certain officers there? I don't know. So
there's not. I'll tell you straight, like that. This is the thing that makes me the most mad about the story. So the Air Force Academy was forced to admit that they also, General CQ Brown, that's now the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Yeah. That guy admitted that he was trying to get less white pilots. He just said straight up, like, hey, we were just trying to get less white pilots. And it was there is no problem statement, Ben. There is no problem statement. Diversity does not make us stronger. It does not make us more lethal. Diversity is a bullshit keyword because the military is downstream from society, and that's all this is, right? Meritocracy has always been a thing. There is no problem statement. And I got to be honest with you, at this point, the demand for all these isms, the demand for keeping women out of positions of power, the demand for people being like inwardly but secretly racist and making these decisions so that you can't reach. We have a black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We had a BIPOC Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne Bass. She was a female and she was a Pacific Islander, right? The demand for all of these things far outstrips the supply of them actually happening. We have these programs because we're like, oh, well, they're stopping people from getting. Show me where. Show me one example in the academy where a black fighter pilot outperformed a white fighter pilot, and that's why we need more black fighter pilots. It just doesn't. I'm not saying that specific hypothetical scenario doesn't happen. What I'm saying is when people are like, oh, well, people have kept me down because there's a glass ceiling because I'm a woman and I can't freak. A woman is running for fucking president right now. She was the VP, a terrible VP. We have women in the highest C-suites powers in the history of all time. There are more women doctors and lawyers and C-suites than have ever been before in the history of the time, and it's not close. We have more people of color in these higher scenarios and these higher positions than ever before. The demand for all of these things, and then hence the reaction by the military service academies in this example, far outstrips the supply for the things that are happening.
Academy we're talking about, and so the only thing I'd say is that. Yeah, specifically it's the Naval Academy. And the thing I would say is that having not looked at their reason for why they do it and what the numbers are, or anything like that, then it's hard to really give a good answer. But I do
because they don't have a reason, man. That's your presupposition, brother.
Hang on. My MC.
The reason is they're woke. That's the reason. The reason is
no. Hang on. I just charged the 60. Here we go. I just charged the 60. Here we go. Okay?
Here we go.
I sat over here long enough. Okay. Now here's what I'm going to tell you are facts. Okay. I'm going to give you the facts. If you're white, you need a 1490 to get into the Naval Academy. If you're black, I can get you in with a 1250 directly or 1,000 into NAPS in the prep school. Okay, those are facts. All right. If you're white and you apply after November, you better have a 1580 or more SAT score. Okay. Now here's what I'm going to tell you. Because I've had this round and round, Air Force Academy, West Point, Naval Academy. Here is what I'm going to tell you. In 16 years from now, the Hispanic folks are going to be the majority. Okay. And I know West Point was trying to get their classes now in anticipation of needing generals in 25 years to look more like the populace is going to look. Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to throw at you, Aaron, because you threw some daggers out there about DEI. I am not a DEI guy. I think that's the biggest crock of crap in the world. But I am an anti-establishment, gentrified neighborhood, great education, and woeful 10 on the great school scale high school that most of the minorities have no access to. Okay? So what I'm going to say is I can take somebody with 1,000 SAT score that came out of Sumter, South Carolina, and Aiken High School who barely could do math, okay? And they graduate from the Naval Academy and they're a phenomenal officer, okay? Because here's what I'm going to say. All of those 15 fucking 90s do nothing in the fleet but fucking mute. Ben Pappas is going to attest to this. Yep. 75% of the Naval Academy are mute-ass losers, okay? They got 50 SAT scores. They have no social skills. They have no mental intellect. They're not capable of any EQ, and they suck as officers. That's what they do.
Okay.
And let me say one thing. Let me just say one thing.
That is dying. That is
those
dying.
1590 guys, I appreciate you. You helped me graduate. I got you. It's beautiful. Guy's got a notebook this big for his whole year. Has like 3 things written down. He's super genius, plugged in the matrix. I turn him around. I'm like, teach me how to do double E. I will teach you in 5 minutes. Oh, he grabs my head. Oh, I'm shaking. I'm like, I know double E. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sensei. But there's some smart dudes, and you got to remember the Navy is very, very technologically oriented. These ships are massive tech platforms. These dudes go in with engineering, and they do the mind melt, and they fix the ship, keep the ship fighting, keep the technological. The Navy is not as much, except for the teams, is not as much leadership oriented like that as it is a big technological marvel. I mean, that's the thing with a lot of these guys, and that's want it or don't want it. You want that carrier battle group working, and you need some smart ass dudes that have like MIT level skills to keep these things running. So that's not me. That's not me for sure. So there's a reason for them. What I will say, jumping on dovetailing with Jake, is that again, what the hell does the SAT score mean? These guys prepare for their SAT score since they're young. People prepare to get in these elite high schools since they're young, and it takes money and it takes know-how and it takes connections. You have to get in the right school, the right course, take the thing at the right time. Meanwhile, so-and-so doesn't have any opportunities, may have tons of natural talent, like Jake is saying. And so, I mean, I think you have to make some considerations for that too, as well. Wow.
I got one more. Go for it. Ben. Sorry. No, go, Ben. Go. All right, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth.
Like, I'm with you. I definitely think we need to get a balance on this thing, but again, I don't know the full scope of what's going on at the academy. I'm not really looking at that. So
I do. I got 10 dudes at the Naval Academy. I do. Let me tell you this. So this is what I tell people. Okay, anytime anybody try to hit me on, oh, we're trying to do this, we're trying to let more minorities in. I asked them, what was my SAT score when I got in the Naval Academy? 700. I had a 240 English. 240. I was illiterate. Okay? And I shit stomped that institution. Okay? I graduated with a 2.62, which made me 500 in my class. I was directly in the middle of the class with a 700 SAT score. Okay? Now, I know I'm an anomaly. But my point is, the gerrymandering motherfuckers that are trying to keep all their kids, like Ben is saying, in positions of elite status have said, you got to have a 1,500 to go to the Naval Academy. You got to be academically intellectual. Okay? I'm going to argue there ain't no academics in leadership. It's all EQ. Right? Like, I am a big proponent. I know, Ben, like you got the officer reaction course in Sully at the Marine Corps, officer reaction course in the Army in selection. Everybody asked me, what can we do? I said, how about you start using something that's leadership based to select people to go to the service academies and not academic based, because academics do not translate to leadership. Okay. Y'all got me fired up now because the problem ain't got nothing to do with race. It got to do with the selection criteria.
The only thing I agree is that the academics don't matter to leadership unless you're leading an engineering team. That's what I'll say. I mean, I'm
10%, Ben. 10%. 10%.
Really? We can roll our eyes, but guess what? You want that fucking precision guided munition coming on target. You didn't create that shit. Well, I didn't create that shit. Some dude who can do this engineering created that shit. You know what I mean? And so,
and the other place, Ben, 100% is some fucking submarines. Okay, yeah, you floating around in a fucking nuclear reactor.
They look at each other like they fucking just talk to their minds.
Yeah. It's a bunch of nerds on submarines. Okay, so but that's 10% of the Navy, Ben. Yeah. All I'm saying is
10% of the most powerful motherfuckers on earth. If they go rogue, we're all dead. We do not like them anymore. Turn the keys, brother. Yes, they don't talk.
I tell you how Aaron and I will fix this. Get rid of the officer corps. Everybody goes
burn it to the ground. Fucking fix.
Except
burn it to the ground
right here.
Yeah, yar. Yeah, burn it to the ground.
Hey, 2 years at Naval Academy, bro. You talked to me. The first thing out of my mouth was, "Arr, I'm a pirate."
Yar.
Arr.
You know, everybody thinks a pirate's favorite letter is R, but it's not. It's the C.
Hey, the C. Hey, for 2 years straight.
These guys are
where you going?
They're a mess. Everybody's like romancing pirates. They're all freaking scurvy and a mess. Come on.
Hilarious.
I'm going to get
we drifted so far from
pirate treasure.
We did.
Yeah. But either way, two very different conversations being had. Like I said, one at the Naval Academy and one at on the Army side. Again, we'll see which one prevails. I think at the end of the day, the right person in the right place with the right stuff can do the job, right? But I think diversity within itself just needs to fucking like we shouldn't put people in positions just because they look a certain way. That's just my 2 cents.
Here's the bumper sticker, man, for my entire point. Discriminating now against people that deservedly should have that shot is not going to help pass discrimination. And if you can't present the problem to me right now, if you can't be like, yeah, look, they're holding them back because specifically of their race. And I'd be like, okay, then we need to fix that systemically, or we need to gut that system, or we need to figure it out, right? Discriminating against people now and denying people their well-earned shot to something because of their race is what we call racist. And the fact that the Naval Academy isn't just doing this, they're defending it in court. They're saying that they are becoming more lethal because they are discriminating against certain races. On its face, that's racist, right? But the Overton window has shifted so far that now we're having this conversation. That's my problem with that issue.
All right, let me say this. I'm going to have to call Aaron out, okay?
We got here. Let's go.
You're going to get mad. I'll call in. I'll apologize now, okay? So here's what I'm going to say to a Caucasian male.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah. Worst dude on the face of the planet. I'm a straight white male, and I'm a conservative.
There was one black officer at Newport, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
For the whole year I was in Newport. He was a dentist in training, okay? We would run to salute him because he was the only black officer that we saw in the year that we were there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just remember that. If you don't see people like you where you're supposed to be going, it's really hard to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember that.
Amen to
it's
that.
It's really hard to get there if there ain't nobody like you there.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but 700 years ago when you had that experience is not now. Yeah. It's not now at all. Wait, it's not. It is not. That experience that you had where there was a singular black.
1990.
Male, yeah, it was a million years ago. That might as well be 750 years ago, brother.
Okay, so let me do this. Let me stop you right there, brother.
That's 20.
No. You're gonna throw shit. I'm gonna throw shit. Okay.
Okay.
How many black female fucking pilots are there in the military right now out of 52,000 fucking pilots? Because now I'm on fire. How many black female pilots are there out of 52,000, Aaron?
I don't know how many.
27.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No. 72. 27 of those are Army warrant officer helicopter pilots. Okay. You only have 11 in the Air Force out of 17,000 pilots, Aaron.
100% not true. That number is not correct.
How much would you like to bet on it? How much would you like to bet on it?
I know more than 11 female pilots in the Air Force.
11 black female pilots?
Oh, black female pilots?
Black.
Black. Okay. I'll take it.
Like he doesn't talk that.
Yeah.
No. Wait. There's only wait. No. Hang on. I got all the fucking numbers. I got all the numbers. There's 1,300. There's 1,300 females out of 52,000 flying in the military. Okay. That's the number. 13,000. There's 1,300 out of the 52,000. That number is atrocious also.
Why? You're begging the question. You're presupposing that's a bad thing. I don't care if there's zero.
Say this. Here's what I'm going to say. There is basically no physical advantage, maybe a slight physical advantage, to be a male in an aircraft than there is to be a female in an aircraft.
Well, I'm going to put you on pause right there. Females are actually in the 9 categories. Females outperform males in 8 of them. They're way better. Stress tolerance for fighter pilots specifically. Stress tolerance, pain tolerance, all that stuff.
Even more to my point. Okay. So this goes back to what I said in the initial take. There is a stratification of elitism in America that's based on academics that's hindering the progress of what we're all talking about. All I want is the best people in the cockpit. That's all I want. I want the best people on the line. I want the best people on the A-team. That's all I want.
Yep.
But I understand that ain't what we're getting right now. Okay?
So now would you say, so are you saying, Jake, just because there's academic barriers that'll keep in these people? What do you mean these people? These people.
What do you mean these people? What do you mean you people?
What do you mean you people?
Let me tell you something.
People?
So here's what I'm going to say.
I'm here for the fun, right? Come on.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Right now, the producer's writing to Aaron. Fire him up more.
Right.
More. No. Wait. Let's have real talk. This is real talk radio right here, okay? Ed Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, correct?
Yep.
In the next month, how many people broke the 4-minute mile?
A shit ton.
Like 32 in 1 month. Okay? you cannot go somewhere where you can't see somebody's with success, right? Like,
yeah.
So I tell people.
You just told us that Ed Bannister did it before anybody else. You can quite literally be the first at anything you want to be. Nobody's you can do whatever you want. You can always be the first. I was the first person in my family that was a special operator. Not a single person in my family looked like me. And somehow I made it to be a PJ.
Okay, Aaron.
And no one else in my family is a PJ now either. That's
Aaron,
weird, right? Shouldn't there be
Aaron,
more?
Hang on. No, you're good. Aaron, hang on. Aaron,
what's up?
52,000 pilots.
Mm-hmm.
One person ain't making a fucking difference. We need like 500. And if you're going to get 500,
again, the assumption here that you're basing this off of is that they're better pilots. Like if you want me to agree that for this case that women are a better pilot. By the way, you didn't ask the one thing that they got outperformed by males, and that's the one thing that the males did that the females wouldn't do is when it came time to shoot a target, the males would be like, "Boop, coming home, fucked it up." You know what the females did? Well, what's in it? What's next to it? What does it have in it? Am I allowed to shoot it? Am I authorized to shoot it? Am I good? They got smoked in that where it was like, hey, give me an order, and they would think their way through it. That's the one thing that the female fighter pilots did not perform as well as the male. We're assuming here that a certain population is better than another population. I'm willing to do it for the hypothetical sake, but I just want to say that's
all I want to say is I would be happy if there was 5. Let's just say this. Let's just go out and be crazy and say there's 10,000 female pilots and they're flying fucking rubber dog shit on C-17s.
Sure.
Just bring the number a little bit more to the norm. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So then,
right? Like if you tell me they can't drop bombs, then shit, I'm gonna make them C-17 pilots.
But you're saying that we need
pilots.
You're saying that we need 25,000 of them, right? Because females are 50% of the population. They should be 50% of the military and then 50% of the fighter population for this to be fair.
I'm not going to go on that limb, but I would like to see 10,000.
Okay.
I would like to see a dramatic increase.
What problem does that fix?
Don't we have some recruiting problems in the nation right now?
Yeah.
Don't we have some massive fucking recruiting problems?
The Naval Academy is taking care of that.
Shit ton of them.
So my point is, like, this is the closed mindset of America. Well, they ain't good at dropping bombs. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Put them in C-17s. Okay. They ain't got to drop a single bomb. Okay.
Sure.
That leaves more men to go fly fighter planes, right? I see if I wasn't in this space so heavy and knew all the grimy details, then I wouldn't be so fired up about this. But like when I tell you a concerted effort, you don't even want, like, I got a case study, man. I sent one of the best females from the Naval Academy, probably in the last 10 years, to aviation. She was murdering the pipeline, and then she was on track to get jets. I can't even say where, because there's only fucking 2 of them in the space. And they instantly gave her a white person from her community, and he down-checked her on 3 consecutive flights and almost kicked her out of flight school. And I said, And so then I called my pilots, and they're all in the space. And they said, yeah, Jake, they didn't want her to fly jets in that community. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's abhorrent. And by the way, I completely reject that. That is fucking bullshit. That shouldn't have happened. And those dudes should be fired. Like, to make it clear, right? Like, that's fucking bullshit. We're in America,
Aaron. We're in America. We've been fighting this struggle for a long time. Okay. I'm not DEI. I hate DEI. I think DEI is garbage.
You can say that. You can say that.
No. I told you what I want. What do I want, Aaron? I want fucking the officer reaction course as a selector.
Right.
I want the officer like a that's fucking, there ain't no race in that shit. Right. You either figure out how to get that cinder block across that fucking water or you die.
You're correct.
Right? Like, that's all I'm saying. Give me a non-biased approach to screening our future leaders for the Naval Academy, West Point, Air Force Academy. But I'll tell you this, if you sat down with them cats, first thing all them admirals will say, oh, God, little rich Joey, we're not going to be able to get him in here on this because that motherfucker can't even talk.
I don't even know where we're going with that part right there. We're assuming that all the admirals are a certain way like this, you know?
They are. No, he's actually, this is the most correct that he's been in the last like 10 minutes. No, they're all like that. He got it.
I'm sweating. You got me so mad. I'm over here melting.
Admiral McCraven, we're sorry. I'm sorry personally for anything being said, and
not you, McChrystal. McChrystal,
I'm already on the blacklist, man. I'm one of 19 people on the blacklist of Naval Academy because I filed a grievance. Oh yeah, I filed a grievance against the Navy. They put me on the blacklist.
Oh
yeah, absolutely. You don't speak up as a black.
Yeah,
You don't speak up as a black man in the Navy. They put you on the blacklist, man.
Oh my!
Hey, shout out to the Naval Academy, your racist ass. I appreciate it.
Oh man.
I have never.
There are some good questions in the chat, some good discussion. They were like, "Well, how much demand is there for a black female fighter pilot? How many black female fighter pilots want to become female fighter pilots? And are there boat spaces for them? Are slots available?" And this is some of the discussion going on in the chat. And what, Jake? I know you have the numbers for that. Like, what's the demand? Like, there's demand for this to do this. So is there a heavy demand?
I'm going to tell you this. In my last 5 years, I've had probably 20 black females try. Let me say this: approach the idea.
Yeah.
And then quickly turn around when they figured out that they were going to be the only female in their squadron.
That's where they were going to be the only someone like you as well too.
100%, bro. You know, it's a hard thing to go do.
I think you're on your way to board of directors at the Naval Academy, Jake. With this little
slowly but surely.
Quite surely.
Let me tell you,
nice $250K board seat per year. You'll be like, and then Aaron will be like, no, DEI is all good.
Wait, let me tell you.
He's going to bring me in as the DEI hiring guy. Right. That's what he's going to do.
He'll be the balance.
Oh, wait, let me tell y'all something. You know who makes the best person ever in the world? The highest performing person at the company. You take the highest performing person at any company, any institution, and you make them in charge of diversity, and all of a sudden, all of your problems are fixed. Because that dude is only going to pick the people that are going to help him win.
Well, I think all of a sudden, take a look at what Ray Dalio did with his company, right? You know, Ray Dalio had this insane peer review, constant 360. Everything you did was observed. You briefed a new investment. You know, take a look at some of his books, principles, things like that. But if you look at what was behind the company, and obviously this is in my space, what I look at, but how he built this high performing organization. And, the bottom 10, 20% were always stripped away for performance. Peer 360 constantly. If you're briefing him on a new investment, you had all these people watching you through the Zoom call. How did you brief? What did you say? What was your confidence level? Did you have good evidence? I mean, a little bit extreme. Honestly, I think it's a little too extreme for the culture, such a high pressure environment. But to your point, you're not worried about anything other than performance and meritocracy. You can or you can't, and that's it. So
that's it.
I mean, that's the bottom line. But it's a very extreme, hard to repeat. It's not an easily sustainable, repeatable process. It requires what you said, the highest performer in the company. That's usually the number 2 in command. That's with Ray Dalio. And Mr. Dalio, if I'm getting it wrong, please forgive me. But that's
big listener of the podcast, Ray.
He is. He's on right now.
He's watching, right? He's one of 93.
That's how we are. That's how we do it, everybody. But I mean, I think that's something to consider as you're saying. The highest performers. Then you establish what you're looking for, strip away all the bullshit. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you can or you can't. And then, I mean, to what you're saying, Jake, too, historically, where you came from, your foundation, that may matter. It will, in fact, matter to whether you can or can't at that level. It may take you longer. And that's where in that early stages, we do have to provide opportunities. We do have to open doors. We do have to make sure that, there is good education. There are some pathways, right? I mean, that's really important stuff, man. And this is what leaders get paid to do, especially, hopefully our city, community, state level leaders and national leaders are looking at these things as well. And applying a good, healthy dose of what is needed in every place,
Yeah. Really good conversations, guys. But Aaron, anything in the chat we need to hit? I know Henry Moore's been giving us $2 at a time here. Really, really pumped up about the C-17 mafia that Jake proposed. But
which is hilarious. Like if you look at the C-17 pilots in the Air Force, I bet the overwhelming majority of the female pilots in the Air Force are C-17 pilots. I don't know why they all fly that bird. There's a couple that fly. I mean, I've got a good friend flies an A-10. She's a Savage. I know a couple of really good female fighter pilots. They're Savages too. They're great. So please don't misconstrue my comments as misogyny. They're not. I rail against DEI and the hiring process and not the people that are in those positions. So Casey, Emily, hey, all the offers, hey, what's up? What's going on? So one thing from the chat, it was an actually really good question. So the question essentially was like, hey, when you guys are reading books or when you guys are trying to focus on something, how is it that you actually focus on the thing that you're doing at a time? Do you have music playing in the background? Do you try to read? Ben, you're obviously a cat person and from old money and read leather-bound books. So when you're reading, how is it that you stay focused on the book? Do you have anything playing in the background or what do you do?
First of all, Aaron, I put in my monocle.
Man,
I put in my monocle,
man's
my
quiet.
smoking jacket, and my pipe.
Day number 44. The enlisted men consistently make me work out. It makes my skin wet with sweat, and I hate
that
them.
I do nothing. I lift nothing heavy. I think I saw that as well too. How do I finish a book that I'm reading? I mean, I sometimes struggle with that too. And I know I saw some of the comments that ADHD isn't real, but the symptoms are. I understand what you're saying. So sometimes, I think your interest can wane. I would just take it off in bite-sized chunks like anything else, I mean, and I'll say this too. One thing you learn in a heavy academic environment that I learned really well in graduate school is that you can't read every word. Like if you're stuck on a sentence and you're like, I got to read everything in this book, just skim it, man. Read the first sentence, the last sentence, get the gist until you find that meaty part that really resonates with you. And it's okay. I mean, you're not doing like calculus, right? Where you really need to learn every step. And even today, the computer will do it all for you, honestly. So, I mean, I think just skim over the major topics and the things that really, really resonate with you that are really important, dive into those and soak those up. And the one thing I learned too, as well, is read everything you can from an author you really love. When you find an author that you really love, read everything you can in that author's, library. So I think that's a really good thing that I learned early on. And I try to do that, as well. So, and whatever you put into your mind, what you put in, garbage out, right? If you put good things in your mind and, you're going to improve your creativity, you can have a lot of better thoughts, different perspective. I remember talking with, not Admiral McCraven, but he was a former big admiral as well too, Admiral Stavridis. And he would say that, when you read a novel, you're getting to live someone else's life. I was really surprised. He was talking about reading fiction because I was never like a big fiction reader when I was in the military. He's like, no, read fiction because you get to see other perspectives as well too. So there's value in that, not just hardcore factual, historical things like that. Read what's interesting to you. And I think you'll find that you'll have a lot easier time getting through the books. And the smoking jacket and the pipe and the monocle will help, of course.
Of course. Obviously.
Yeah, we're going to put it out there, guys. Ben is going to drop his leadership book. And then the four of us are going to start working on some military thrillers. It's happening.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Do it.
Get it.
But yeah, before we sign off, guys, you guys have anything else you want to add? Now, Ben, I know you mentioned that Zelensky was visiting the Capitol. I don't have that story up right now, but did you want to briefly discuss it, or you want to push it till next week?
Yeah, I'll do 30 seconds on it. There's so
Sure.
much to cover there. I mean, I think the big thing is just, seeing former President Trump, met with him in Trump Towers as well in New York, and he was up in the UN, I believe, as well. And pretty critical time there. I think definitely it bears a little more time for discussion for next week, but definitely, for all our international relations watchers and our strategic politics people, watching that, definitely take a look at what's going on there. I think especially the election matters a lot, we'll see, but it was a good look, definitely a good look, I would say, as far as with Trump and Zelensky getting together. It sounded like it was a good meeting from what I saw. So
awesome. Aaron, you have any political updates for us? Like, who you voting for? Gays for Gaza Brigade? Like, what
That's
you got?
it. Yeah. Queers for Palestine. I'm going to be the first one over there. The good thing about that is there's no 2-story buildings left in Gaza. And that's your dark joke of the day because they throw queers off the buildings. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, that got them on a bunch of different ones. No, nothing other than the big news story that did come out. Right. And this is more of a, hey, this is a serious game. I don't care who it's against. Political violence is absolutely abhorrent and it has no place in our society. And everybody should be pissed off about political violence. Everybody should be pissed off about the border. These two things converge when we found out that there are 9 currently, some intelligence estimates, there are 9 heat-seeking missile man-fired systems that are loose somewhere inside of the United States of America. One of the kill teams, an Iranian plot, was overturned and found that they were targeting President Trump's plane. So right now, somewhere in America, facilitated by the cartel through the southern border, there are 9 man pads that are heat seekers. What is it? Are you correcting me on the number?
No, I'm saying
my
over under is 4 assassination attempts.
Yeah.
So
we're listen, I'll tell you what, like, you know, and I know it's easy it's easy to be in the political space and like, well, they're trying to kill Trump, and like, you know, you can have an opinion about that. You can not like the guy. You can not like Kamala Harris. You can not like the person. But when we're talking about, no kidding, a malactor of Iran having teams inside of America facilitated through an open border problem and the cartels, and they have the ability to shoot down a large passenger aircraft, that is terrifying. That is horrifying, and that is not okay. So that's the only thing I'm going to say. I don't give a shit who you're voting for. I will bring you into my house and we will have dinner and we can talk about everything you would ever want. But what I want to say is I saw that news story, and I think I literally put on my Instagram, I just put, what the fuck is happening? Like, that is something that this country cannot tolerate and should not tolerate. And it's something that I don't know how we're going to endure when the footage, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't have to be a political candidate. It can be 350 souls taken out of LAX to go off somewhere and they get clacked off. Like, that is going to fundamentally change who we are as Americans. And that's the level that we're at now. So for all the political stuff and the political bullshit that I normally talk, we're not going to do that here. But hey, get yourself protected. Make sure you're hugging your family. Make sure you do a little extra cardio. Make sure you have stuff ready to go, and then keep an eye out, because there is wacky stuff on the horizon. So that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, and jumping in on that real quick too. It's like, it's one thing we can kind of, you know, as Americans go at each other with politics and whose side and all back and forth, but nobody should be allowed to come in and dictate to us what the fuck we're going to do politically and try to take our choices away. You know what I mean?
Agree.
So that should get everybody fired up.
I got 2 things. Make sure you fly with a parachute. Maybe you have a chance. Okay. Don't be like the Wagner Group guy and not have a parachute in the plane. Okay.
Crazy. Yeah. Right.
The other thing I wanted to say logistics. Is, yeah, we want to send a shout out to Florida, Alabama, you know, Georgia, Tennessee, hurricane, everybody that lost them. I mean, there's 26 deaths already.
Yep.
That hurricane went through there and ran roughshod. I haven't heard a lot of good news out of it, other than DeSantis was a gangster and had like 1,000 power trucks on standby like 4 days ago. Yeah. So
yeah, my brother got hit in Georgia. Jay knows it was funny. I was in the exact same like hometown that Jay's family grew up in. They got hit really, really hard. They're still without power. So like, if you know anybody down there, if you guys know anybody down there that got hit, it was serious. Like, my brother is no you know, little baby when it comes to this stuff. And he's like, man, it was pretty scary. It was a pretty scary thing. And now they're without power and they're trying to figure that out. So yeah, shout out to all those folks, man.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys jumping on. We need to figure out this live meetup. We'll discuss it in the group thread. But yeah. Dude, it'd be nice if we can get one this year. But I know we're towards another year.
I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for it.
We need to jump. The first one's in Vegas. We need to jump, bro. We need to jump.
Let's go.
We need a 4-way, bro. We need a 4-way out the door. Like savage.
I don't give a shit. Let's go, baby.
As long as we don't do nothing crazy, I'll be fine. Just don't do nothing crazy.
Easy. 4-way out the door, and then Jake for 14,000 feet is just flat and happy, just checking out energy.
Oh man, but I see some shooting going on for sure.
Yeah, got it. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Oh, hey, throw it down, bro. We gotta have. That's a good one. That's a good. Like, we need to have a little competition. See who got a real gun.
I know. I've seen Jake. I know he does. Office pop. Yeah. What was your last office pop? I got like an office pop ready.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. I know Jake has his live he has to get to.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good. We on Fridays now, so I'm good. My live is on Wednesdays.
Oh shit! Awesome. Aaron, did we miss anything else in the chat? I know Jake should have went to West Point. That's a comment on there.
Nice.
Did we miss anything else? No.
Yeah. It looks pretty good. The link to the Trump man pet art, you can just Google it, A70. It was out. He put it out on True Social as well. The chat looks pretty good. Again, I love that the chat self-regulates and they have talks. So no burning questions right now. But Super
Aaron,
Power still out. Hey, that sucks, man. Sorry.
Are you the Aaron Love Hates Club? Is that your comments?
I am not.
Who is that?
I do not know. I will say I do not know. The Aaron Love Hate Club popped up, and they are the leader, the founder, and the #1 member of the Aaron Love Hate Club. I will protect their digital identity. We sent them a shirt when we made it. When we made the shirt, they got one of the first shirts that's out there. It is hilarious. People have accused me of being the Aaron Love Hate Club, but as you can see, I'm live on a TV screen and not making comments right now, so I don't have a proxy. It is not me. There's also an Aaron Love Club, and that's just about cringy enough to be me, but not quite there. So that's also not me. The Aaron Love Hate Club is hilarious. Like, and by reading the comments, smart. Well, no, I'll give him credit. Like, dude's on point. So
he's banging me for saying we need a 4-way. Like he's banging me for it. I'm like, I thought that was you the whole time. I'm like, oh, this dude over here trying to throw some smoke. I didn't like the way
that came off. I was like,
it's hilarious. Yeah, we need a 4-way. Do we?
We do need a 4. Like, come on.
Do
man.
we?
Listen.
The Aaron Love Hate Club right now, accusing him of being me is an insult to me. That is hilarious, and that is he. I'll tell you what, I don't think it's a bit. I think he really does hate me too because he never breaks character, never gives me a good compliment. Even earlier, he's like, "Yeah, the shirt's awesome. You're still a fuck." Awesome, cool. Is what it is. He ain't wrong.
Aaron, I'm gonna tell you this. I tell everybody this. I had to get slapped about the head and neck when I came off of Top Shot. And I had 90% of the people out there hating. Just remember this stat. Howard Stern has 9 million followers a day, okay? 3 million likes, people that like him. Mm-hmm. They listen for about an hour and a half. His 6 million haters listen on average for 3 hours a day.
That's crazy to me.
Embrace those bad dudes. Embrace them. Feed them. Feed them all you can. That's right. I said it. I think
there's a lot of good material today to feed that.
It really is. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Hey, there's a quote out there that says, "You can love me for who I am. You can hate me for who I am, but you're not gonna love me for who I'm not." Right.
That's
so
right.
you might as well stay in character the entire time.
True.
So
very true.
Right.
But so hopefully we can get it done by the end of the year, man. If we can link up in Vegas, do a fucking 4-way.
I got the spot. You're going to have to hear this crying baby because I got to go and figure out what's wrong with him right now. So
man. Be a dad.
I got you.
Dad, be present.
I'm out.
We're good, man. But all right, fellas, I appreciate you guys.
Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, y'all.
The chat. All right, take care, fellas. I'll fix my camera next time, I promise.
All right,
you will not.
What was our high water mark for people watching?
Here, let me get this. Let me stop the recording real quick. I don't know how to do that. All right, give me a second.
Everybody's still on here. You got the outtakes. It's like at the end of a Marvel movie.
Everybody just disappears. I'm not sure, but I know my channel was also linked.
Oh man.
So it should have been pretty high. We won't know until later on.
Okay.
But
it's cool though. It's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Well, enjoy yourself, man.
All right, man. You too.
You're having some fun out there.
Hey, thanks everybody.
Yeah, later.